Hey guys, it's Robin, RsIslandCrafts, and this is Talk to Me Tuesday for Tuesday, January 15th, 2019. Today's video is brought to you by Miss Mocha. For some reason, the cats like when I talk to them, but they sure don't like when I just talk to myself or I talk to you guys. So you can see her. She's hanging over there. She's eating some crunchies, so if you hear a little crunching noise, that's just her. So I managed to get hubby's comfort quilt. He's got the front on, he's got the back, it's all quilted. I quilted it with red thread because the Giants, their logo is this blue, and then it's got the white and a standard red color in it too that kind of like outlines all the letters and all that stuff. So I went ahead and I just did a wiggle 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 squiggle with some red thread. I actually had enough time yesterday. I cut the binding. I have that all set to go. I'm just using a white, so it'll draw out the white, and that way he'll have all the red, white, and blue, and it'll all be in there. As I was getting ready to prepare the binding and get ready to stitch it on yesterday, my brain started to feel a little tired, and I decided to listen to it this time because when my brain gets a little tired, things get messed up. If you guys remember, last week I told you that I had to undo everything because I did my disappearing 9 patch and I sewed it back together into a 9 patch instead of flipping things around. That was a pain. So then I started quilting it with the red thread, and I did a good chunk up here, and then I showed hubby, do you like it with the red, because the red really pops on this light blue color, and he says yeah, that's fine. So I get it and I put it back under the machine, and during that process, you know, you tend to just see the back. Let's see what it looks like on the back. And I look at it and I got eyelashes everywhere. Now, I've been doing free motion quilting for several years, and yes, I do have issues here and there. And it's a new machine that I'm working on, so it's a process to get used to it. But I haven't really had this much trouble before where I had to take out all of those quilting stitches. All of them. It was getting to be a little bit of a frustration there, you know? So all I could figure out is I was listening. This is where it gets me in trouble every time. I was listening to some people online, and they were saying that you don't have to drop your feed dogs to do free motion quilting, that they just go ahead and put it down to 0, their stitch length, and everything works fine. And I wasn't really sure. I mean, I was doing it on my brother, but I'd put a piece of cardboard over it so when the feed dogs would move, it would, you know, they wouldn't pull the fabric because it was covered in cardboard. But I didn't do any of that because they just said, put it down to 0 and you'll be fine. Well, that's what I did. Because, once again, I listen to people, they say, well, I let them get in my head, and that's what gets me in trouble. Is they said, sometimes if you keep putting the feed dogs up and down, sometimes they get stuck down and you can't put them back up. I had that problem with my brother's sewing machine, which is why I stopped dropping them. So I thought, oh, well, you know, I don't want to mess up the Juki. Let me just go ahead and test this out, because if it works, it saves me the trouble of pulling things up and moving little levers. I know it's no big deal, but it's an extra process, right? You've already got to change the foot, so let's save a couple steps. So I tried it, and yeah, it didn't work. So once I went back and I dropped the feed dogs and went back to my normal way of free motion quilting, everything looks great. I've got no long extra stitches. I don't have any of the eyelashes. Everything looks nice. There's a couple areas here and there because that's just how it is. But this is a cotton batting, and once I wash it, that quilting is going to get sucked in. And you're not going to notice that one of the stitches is 1/8 of an inch and the other one's maybe a little bit longer than 1/8 because it's not that big of a deal. It is still going to work as a comfort quilt. There's not going to be any problems. Things are going to be good. So this will get finished up. I will probably finish it up probably later today, maybe tomorrow. So I still have to go through and get the binding all situated and put it all together and then stitch it down. And I have to decide if I want to do a fancy stitch on the binding or if I want to just stitch it down, because I'm not hand sewing it. I know this is going to go through the washer and dryer a lot, and it's just a lot easier to go ahead and machine stitch it. And I wanted to show you guys that even after putting all that fabric on the back, I still have a good chunk of fabric left. I roll this up on my 6-inch ruler, my 6x24, and yeah, it's with a fabric. It's probably close to 3/4 of a yard, if not a yard of fabric left still. So I still have plenty of fabric left to do little things. Like we put towels on the sides of the arms of our recliners so that they don't get all grubby, because, you know, with the body oils or if sweats or if the cats sit on it, there's always a chance that the arms of the chairs and the couches are going to get filthy. So I take a hand towel and I take a strip of this that's wide enough to show off, you know, the strip that shows the giants going straight across like that. It's about a 4-inch or so strip. And then I just put that up at the top, so, and I put it on both sides of the towel so you can flip it around and get usage out of it both ways. So I can do plenty of those. I can make a bag, I can do anything. And then the other thing I finished, as you can see back here, let me hide my face here for a second. I finished a gray and pink disappearing 9-patch baby quilt. Same exact pattern, I just flipped, instead of flipping the blocks like I did here when I cut it, I just threw them all in a pile and I just flipped them all around and turned them until there was no seams matching up, and that's what I got. I don't know what size it is, but it's just a smidgen, probably about 1/2 inch to 1 inch too big for this package. I bought a package of craft batting at Joann's. It's like, they have it like for $4 or $5 all the time. It's the cotton from the Warm and White. It's still the Warm and White cotton batting that I like. I think it's just might be a little bit thinner, but that's fine for a baby quilt. So 1 package of this, and if I make the quilts just a little smaller next time, it'll go ahead and fit. And I just have this little extra on the bottom. So since I have more of this somewhere else anyways, I just add a strip on here so I have plenty of room. And next time, instead of using the 4.5 inch squares to make that, I'll use 4-inch squares, and it'll narrow it down just a little bit and it'll fit perfect. So this turned out to be almost 35 inches wide and about 41.5 inches long. Now that's a perfect size for a baby. I've seen a lot of things. When I first started making baby quilts, so maybe 10 years ago, even more, they were making them 36 inches square. And then they started making them a little bit longer, 36 by 40. You know, you can use a full yard of fabric for the back and stuff, right? Now it just seems to be that they're making quilts bigger and bigger and bigger for babies. And I like a big quilt for a baby, but I also like something small to throw in the car seat or the stroller, or when a baby's not even crawling around or anything, you can put it on the floor. I don't think that they always need a giant quilt. So I really like this size. So I think I'm going to go ahead and make more of this size for my charity quilts this year. And I have backing fabric. I should have plenty left over that I didn't cut into squares. And I also have squares floating around somewhere in here that are left over. I had some, I think I still had about 8, because it takes 9 squares to make a 9-patch. I think I had 8 squares left, so I'm going to go ahead and incorporate that somewhere down the center and then just put these fabrics all together and it'll be all done. And then I can always add white binding or a pink binding or gray binding. It doesn't have to actually be from this fabric and it'll be fine. So that's it for me this week. I know I need to go back and watch several videos from last week. I'm not sure if I only watched a couple of them, so I'm a little behind. So I'll have a lot to watch this week and catch up on, right? Alright guys, you guys have a great week and I'll talk to you later. Bye!